Okay, so in our continuing quest to get you ready for this next big test, we started with this one, and I know some kids are sitting there going, I don't know how to do this. This is so complicated. It's because you didn't think about the fact that they're all even and take the 2 out. All right. Riley Keegan, after I divide everything by 2, tell me what I get in here, here, and here. Nope. X to the 4. Keep going. There's no minus. It's a plus. See? Plus. Wait a minute. What about this part? Okay. Plus 3x squared and then minus 4. You are correct. Okay, good. Check. Mark it later. Did you arrive? Okay, you're still okay. All right. So we're going to start factoring again right here with an x squared and an x squared, because that's how you make an x to the 4th. And I want you to see that once you do all of the little things, you'll be left with only one hard thing. The little things are, look at the signs next. Is there any negative in the problem? Yeah, there is. Then there's a negative here. There has to be. And then, if the last number's negative, it has to be in a plus and a minus, because these two numbers will have to be one positive and one negative. And then last but not least, something multiplies to 4, and it's probably a 4 and a 1. Could be a 2 and a 2. You don't know it for sure until you've tested it. I'm going to put a 4 here and a 1 here and test it. Negative 1x squared, positive 4x squared. Together that makes 3x squared. Yay, I win. And now, if you left it like that, you snooze, you lose, because you didn't factor it all the way. Who caught that this one can be factored into x plus 1 and x minus 1? Raise your hand if you did. That's only like 8 people. See how that would hurt? Like, I want you to make sure you get y, because x and x make x squared. The last number's negative, plus and a minus. And what makes a 1? A 1 times a 1. And if you multiply this out, it will exactly equal x squared minus 1. Okay, so your final factored form had to have that. And now, what would we have to do? Well, sometimes they just say factor. On the easier problems, it's just factor. And then that's that. But on the harder problems, then they say, what are the real answers? And what are the imaginaries? To get those, you set each of these things equal to 0. And this one, hopefully you go 2 equals 0. That's not a real thing. It's gone. This one, x plus 1 equals 0. Yeah, I can solve that. X minus 1 equals 0. I can solve that. X squared plus 4 equals 0. It's harder, but hopefully you can solve that. Take a second, please, and solve those. Put the real ones here. Put the imaginary ones there. I'll pause for a second while you try that. So the real ones are these ones where x equals negative 1. Add 1, add 1. X equals positive 1. So x equals negative 1. X equals positive 1. And then the imaginary one is this one. I need some room, so I'm bringing it over here. X squared plus 4 equals 0. Subtract 4. X squared equals negative 4. Then I'm going to square root. And now this is the toughest part. If you can wade through this, you'll get this point. Because if you got this far, you can do it. Absolute value. This really, you don't have to write this, but this is really what it is. That's I, that's 2. 2I. All right, Mr. Wilhelm, tell me how this works. Yep. I usually start with the one that you see, and then I'll do the negative one later, so that these two are the same as each other, except the negative goes here. There you go. 2i, negative 2i. Those are the imaginary answers. All right. I think a lot of you can get that one, and that is one of the toughest kind of questions that you can have. All right. So, I really like that problem. I'm going to pause for a second. Okay, for this one, after we multiplied this out, we combined like terms and we got that. Now, I'm asking the kids to multiply this one out. And we're starting with that 2x to the third times the 3x squared. And if you started right, you'd have 6x to the fifth. On that kind, you add the powers. Even though you're multiplying the numbers, you add the powers. I'll pause while you finish that thing off. Okay, this one should have been 6x to the fifth to start with. And then this part would be minus. Anytime you multiply by -1, you just take the thing you had and make it negative. Now it's this times this, which makes negative. 3 times the 1 here makes 3. X to the fourth. And then this times this, they're both negative, makes it positive. 1 times 1 makes 1. X squared. And now there is no like terms. Oh my gosh, I gave you more time than you needed then. I thought there would be some like terms to add. But one gotcha here. Do you get, I technically would have to mark this wrong if you left it that way? How many of you caught that these two had to be reversed in order? Most of you, not all of you. Because that x to the fourth is bigger than the x to the third, and they have to be in descending order. So this 5, then next should be the 4, then the next term would be the 3, and then the 2. Okay. All right. Here's another easy one. I know this is not a polynomial, but why is it not a polynomial? Can you say it right? And just weird power is not going to be enough. Power, you got half the battle, but how do you say what's wrong with the power? What I would allow is you can't have a negative power. That would be a good answer. Or, yes?
It's not a whole number.
Whole number, very good. Powers are supposed to be whole numbers, and whole numbers start with 0. So you can have powers of 0. X to the 0 is fine. X to the 1, x to the 2. Okay. How about this? 4x to the third minus 3x squared minus x. Polynomial or not? It is a polynomial. Because the powers are whole numbers. Okay. All right, another one in the easy category. That's too easy. I've already covered almost all the easy ones. I'm going to just double check. Would you please, at this time, take out that worksheet I gave you yesterday, which was basically the practice test. And I'd love to see if you have any questions on there, like, I didn't get how to do number 6. Now, first of all, I hope you know there was a key. If you didn't already use the key to check this, that was a unforced error on your part. I did send you an update, and I said, hey, I just posted the key. You should go check it. Yes. But take your worksheet out, set it on your desk. Oh, number 5 on your packet. That's an example of one that we haven't talked about yet. If they say do f of -1, do you get that just means stick -1 in the function? And I've given you this advice over and over, and let's see if it stuck. Why will the kid get this wrong as they type it in? It will be wrong. They'll type it in, their calculator will do it, they'll trust the answer, and it'll be wrong. Mauricio?
Because there's no parentheses?
Yes, there has to be parentheses, or right here, the calculator will get this part wrong because it's actually a parentheses. An X is an empty parentheses, and with the parentheses, that's going to change this answer to positive. Then you'll put another negative on it. So your answer would have been wrong without those parentheses. I hope you remember that. Okay. Is there anything else off of this practice test that you got wrong? Or you're not sure if you did it right? Well, if you're not sure you did it right, take 2 seconds. Look at the key. Okay. Yes?
I got number 2 wrong.
Number 2. All right. I'm going to just do number 2 for you, and let's see where you try to follow yours and see where you might have made a mistake. 4x to the 4th was the first thing. I'm just going to right off the bat not have the parentheses, because on the first set of parentheses, you don't need them. You got to know when you can drop those parentheses. Now, the next set of parentheses I do need, because I got to distribute that negative to both things, and I'll have negative 2x to the 4th. And if I had to guess where your mistake was, it would be that you used positive 2 instead of negative 2 at the end. Is that it? Okay, all right, good. Then the next thing we have to find is, did you put the like terms together? And so I have to the 4ths, no other to the 4ths. To the 3rds, no other to the 3rds. To the seconds, there's no other to the seconds. Then these are x to the 1sts, and there's no other x to the 1st. Then the only two things that can go together are those. And so it should have ended with a negative 14. So all of these answers are right. They just have to go in the right order. Sometimes it's just the kid copied the problem wrong. Oh, I'm so sorry. You're right. This is not to the 2nd. It's to the 4th. Thank you for catching my mistake. Now I'll see if we can figure out what your mistake is. Minus 2x to the 4th. Okay, now we can put the 4ths together. That's this goes with this. And 4x to the 4th minus 2x to the 4th is 2x to the 4th. And now I can go through and put the other ones in order. These guys are next to the 3rds. We don't have any x to the 2nds after all. I had miscopied that, x to the 2nd. So then the next thing is going to be x to the 1st, which is that thing. And then the last thing is those two to go together and make minus 14.
I forgot. Oh.
Okay, all it takes is one little oops. Are there any others you want me to go through? Because this is your test. It's in front of you. You saw it already. If there's any of these you don't get, now's the time. You ask me tomorrow, I can't tell you. Yes?
Can you do 11?
Sure. So number 11, it does say divide using long division. So at least on number 11, it tells you you've got to use long division. Number 10 didn't say to use long division, but you should. Remember how I said there was 2 that use long division? I was trying to make the point by telling you that if you decide I'm not going to even try this long division thing, 2 of the test questions are impossible for you then. All right, let's double check that I copied it right, because I've already made that mistake once today. I don't want to do it again. Okay, good. All right, so now, would you agree I should start with an x? I mean, at least that's what you generally start with? Okay, and then you realize that's not enough, because then I get x squared. So I really use x squared to get x to the 3rd. Are we started the same?
Yeah.
Good. Then that times that makes plus 2x squared. Let's draw the line. And from my experience, if I had to bet money on where your mistake was, it would be that in one of these steps, you screwed up the giving both of them a negative.
Yeah, that's what I did, because I, for some reason, had in my brain that it just needs to be the opposite of the...
Ah, all right.
That's what I did. Once I saw the key, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
All right.
Fix what's happened.
So minus 5x squared. You are not alone, my friend. Many, many, many people make that exact mistake. So, all right, let's drop this down, plus 2x. And I don't think you probably need me to show you the rest of it then. The key has the rest of it if you want. Okay. Any others that are going to stump you on the test tomorrow? Now's your chance. Yes? 13. That one says 0 equals. That means that at the end, they're going to want you to solve it. X to the 4th minus 6x squared minus 27. So I look and see, is there any GCF like in everything? And there isn't. So then my next step is I go right to my 2 parentheses. I check there's nothing out here, no GCF. Now I pull out an x squared and an x squared. Did you start with that?
Yeah.
Excellent. Next I ask myself, is there any negatives in the problem? And there is, so I make this negative. And then I ask, is the last number negative? Because if it is, I'd have to have a plus and a minus. And so that's what I have to have. Did you have the signs right as a plus and a minus? Okay, then the last question, and this is the only question you have to answer at the end, is what multiplies to 27? And it's probably 9 times 3, and it is, because 9 and 3 will also make you the 6 here. And if this comes out negative, make your bigger number negative. So this will be a 9, and this will be the 3. 9 times 3 makes 27. If I said 6 before, that was this 6. 9 times 3 makes 27. Okay, good. And then it's a trap, because you've done all that work, but it isn't done yet, because this part factors to x plus 3 and x minus 3. And then this part just comes down, copies down. And then we practice this a bunch of times. These are the real ones, and this one's the imaginary one. X squared plus 3 equals 0, and then you do that whole square root thing and the absolute values. You good from there?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes?
If it's a positive one, would you still have to split it x plus 3, x plus 3?
No. If this had been plus, it would not have factored. Let me just prove it to you. If it had been x squared plus 9, it won't factor because you would have to know it's x and x. You'd have to know it's plus and plus because there's only pluses in the problem. And then your only choices would be 3 and 3, which seems like it works until you realize there's a 6x that's going to be in the answer, and there's no 6x in this. See how that doesn't work? So the only kind that's like this, that factors, they have to be negative. All right. That was a really good session of questions, and now you might still have more questions. You can always walk up and ask me. I have assigned one last worksheet, and I'm going to give you time to work on it, and I'm going to give you a lot of latitude to skip problems because it's kind of longish. You don't need that much practice. Some of you should do the whole thing. It'd be awesome for some of you if you just do the whole thing, but I'm going to allow you to skip any 3 problems, which the problems are big, so that saves you a ton of time. Just be smart about which 3 problems you skip. You shouldn't skip the ones that scare you, because if they scare you, you're probably going to get them wrong tomorrow. You should practice those. You should skip anything that seems like you know how to do it, but it looks tedious to you. Okay, so skip any 3 off today's worksheet, and that'll be a lot of problems to skip. Do the rest, stick them in the box, and that's your homework for tonight. I've decided I want to leave you with this practice test for one more night, so please bring it back tomorrow, the day of the test, and I will collect this worksheet from you. But it seems dumb for me to take away the practice test right before the test.
Are you going to grade this?
The worksheet is a worksheet like homework, and I am going to grade it, meaning you should correct it if you see mistakes on the key. You know what I mean? Like, it would be really dumb for you to just mark like 5 wrong and give yourself a kind of a low score. Because it's legal for you to change your answers to match the key. Just also show the work, okay? So yeah, it counts as homework. It's only homework, but I'm warning you. In this class, homework's 15% of your grade. And at the end, there were some kids that didn't do their homework last semester, like any of it. It dropped their grade 15%. Whatever your test average is, if you didn't do any homework, you take your test average, you drop it by 15%. Not many people's test average was that strong, where it wouldn't hurt you pretty bad to lose 15% off of it. So homework counts. It just doesn't count as much as tests. Mauricio, further follow-up question?
What about for the worksheet for today? Was that one grade?
The worksheet for today was the practice test. That's this.
Uh-huh.
And that's the one I was saying. You could go and fix it with the key, and you're going to turn that in tomorrow. All right. The homework that I'm assigning for tonight, skip any 3 questions, because otherwise it's a little too long, and then drop it in the Dropbox digitally. All right, that's all I got for you for today.